Okay. Are you feeling a little bit frustrated that you're single when you didn't expect to be single at this time of year? You could be one of two people. You could maybe just be expecting love to happen when you least expect it. Or on the flip side, you could have done everything within your power to make that happen. So you've been online dating, you've gone to singles events, you've gone to speed dating, you've even asked all of your friends to set you up with someone. And all that's happened is crickets, absolutely nothing. And your level of frustration is high. When you've been out there dating, you haven't found anyone that you feel anything for. It's very rare to come across someone who excites you, someone who you feel some chemistry with. So when you're looking at all this evidence around you, it's really easy to fall into the trap that all the good singles are taken and there's no great singles available out there. And you fall into this trap because you've got all of this evidence from your experience that leads you to that belief. Now, when you get into the point where you start to believe this, it's a really dangerous place to be. And I want to tell you why. When you start to have this belief, you can fall into a trap that when you fall into this trap, it really goes against creating the relationship and the love that you've always wanted. So the trap is the scarcity trap. You feel like it's really rare to meet someone who is going to be right for you. So when you do meet someone, you go out all out to impress them. And maybe you will go a little bit overboard because you know how it's rare. So you come across not how you normally would. You might come across slightly to the other person looking like you're desperate, looking like anyone would do, but it's not your intention because you've literally just got excited because you finally found someone you liked. The other thing that can happen is if there's mutual attraction, you can both fall into the trap of jumping in too soon. Just going, I haven't felt this way before. This is my one. This is my soulmate. This is my unicorn. It was just meant to be. And you go down this track. And often you can go down a track with someone who doesn't ultimately make you feel good or someone that's not right for you because you feel like it's rare. And if you think of this whole scarcity mentality, we've just come through COVID. When things were scarce to get, people would just go out and try and get anything with desperation. You don't want to come from that energy when you're dating. I want to tell you for a fact, because I've been doing this for a decade, there is no lack of good singles out there. In fact, I see so many of them that there are plenty to go around. So I just want to let you know that, because sometimes you can, a negative perception, science has proven, actually narrows your perception so you don't actually see what's out there. What I want to do is I want to tell you why the scarcity track is, goes against you. Because, like I said, you can end up in a relationship where someone's not making you happy. You can end up wasting a lot of time on someone you have a lot of chemistry with who's not right, who's not compatible for you. On the odd occasion, you can have that chemistry, it can work out, and it's wonderful. When I work with singles, I get them to work on being emotionally healthy first, because when you come and you've dealt with, coming out of a bad relationship or even having trauma in your childhood can make it difficult for you to accept healthy love. And often when you come from that perspective, you might be drawn to someone who's got the same wounds as you, or drawn to someone who can't give you what you want because you want to prove that you're lovable. Often those relationships can be really bad for you, okay? Now, I want to give you a couple of stories because it's easier of some clients that I've had. And I want to say this is not gender-based. It's not true for all men. It's not true for all women. So I want to give you Johnny and Marie's story. Now, Johnny and Marie met each other and they were so happy because they both felt like they'd literally found their unicorn. They felt they found the one, the person that they'd been waiting for, and the level of excitement, you can imagine how that would feel, was huge. So they go on dating, everything's right, they like the same things, they like doing the same things. There's absolutely no arguments, nothing going wrong, until about 4 months down the track. and they're out at dinner somewhere and there's some crying, miserable children. And Marie says, I'm so glad I'm past that stage and I don't have to go through that anymore. As much as I feel sorry for the parents. Now, Johnny's face dropped and he went quiet. And Marie couldn't work out where the change came. Well, later on, she found that he really saw himself having children. Now, she already had children and wasn't willing to have any more. They didn't have that discussion. So, literally, when they did talk about this 4 months down the track, where they were in love with each other, they just were on a different page. What they wanted didn't match, and they ended up breaking up, and it was quite devastating for both of them because, you know, love in those situations isn't enough. If you are not on the same page and you don't want the same things, it can end up tearing you apart. And the whole issue of having kids is a big one. You know, I tend to talk to singles. It's one thing to look that people like the same things as you, but it's another thing to make sure you're on the same page and you want the same things, because those things are what breaks couples up. Now, I want to also tell you Brie and Robbie's story. Now, again, Brie was really frustrated. She'd been dating for a while. She was getting to that age where she wanted to settle down, have kids. She got really excited when she met Robbie. You know, the chemistry was off the charts. It was really good. Now, they started hanging out and, you know, things were going smoothly. He probably, you know, wasn't quite in the same place as she was, but she got really excited because it felt so good. They hung out. You know, they did talk about having kids and they both felt that one day they would want to have kids, but it wasn't as much of a driving force for him as it was for her, but they didn't really discuss that, right? So as they go along, what happens is it doesn't start to feel so good. You know, she probably had these warning signals and these red flags at the beginning, but she overlooked them because it was so rare to meet someone where she felt what she felt for Robbie. So she just, you know, stuffed them down. And to be honest, our brain, when it's in love, allows us to stuff down that feeling. So she ignored it. And, you know, as they were dating, he got really busy with his job. He got really busy with sports, with other things. And, you know, he literally would often just give her breadcrumbs. He didn't give her the type of relationship that she wanted, but she kind of went along with the flow. And to be honest, when we talked, Brie was probably more taken by that fantasy idea of what the relationship could have been based on the chemistry than the reality of what she actually had in front of her. He wasn't showing up as the guy that really cared about her, that wanted to spend time with her, that wanted to be with her all the time. And, you know, they literally got to the 10-month patch and she tried to be the cool girlfriend, not to put too much pressure on because, you know, she kind of thought that that's what you should do. She stuffed down how she felt and that her needs and what she was looking for weren't met. Now, a healthy relationship is when you can both feel happy there. And it's, you know, not codependence, it's interdependence. And that wasn't happening. Robbie was really happy. He was getting exactly what he wanted from the relationship, but Brie wasn't. So it got to the point where she couldn't take it anymore and she broke up with him. Now, she did love him, okay? And she had this huge chemistry. But again, love wasn't enough when someone's literally giving you breadcrumbs all the time. Now, the other devastating thing for Brie is she just spent 10 months with this guy, and it's almost like a year of her life had passed. And now, you know, as intellectually as she knew that she couldn't be with him, she then had to heal, so it took longer. Now, what's the solution to both of these cases? I think we often think that love is enough. I think that we've got to, you know, stop glorifying the idea that we're going to meet someone and they're going to know how to love us. They're going to know how to meet our emotional needs. You know, great relationships don't happen because two mind readers come together. Great relationships happen because two people come together and they're willingly to be honest, open, and vulnerable with each other. They're able to teach the other person what feels okay for them and what doesn't, where their boundaries are, and how they need to feel loved. Like I say, it doesn't happen by chance. It doesn't magically happen. And it's time that we stopped glorifying this, because this is where we end up in these relationships that don't make us happy. And to be honest, the whole idea, that there is this one person out there destined for you is quite an easy concept. We love that concept because it takes the pressure off us, it takes that stress off of us. Yet when you look back on your history, there's not really one person. A lot of people would be suitable for you. Sometimes we get carried away with this chemistry that's off the roof that we can't explain. And when we can't explain this attraction, maybe we kind of go, all of these events had to happen for us to meet. It's destiny. In the one way, yes, it feels good, but the other way, it makes us powerless, because we're leaving, these relationships to chance, to the universe, to God, rather than creating what makes a healthy relationship. And to be honest, the healthy relationship is being able to show up for each other every day and choosing to love each other every day. Not going back to that idea that the right person knows how to love you. Is also seeing if you're on the same page. So in both of those situations, Bree could have acknowledged how she was feeling and realized that he was crossing her boundaries. She didn't feel loved. She didn't feel cherished. It wasn't a relationship she felt happy in if she really looked at the reality. And for Johnny and Marie, if they'd have talked about what they wanted long term sooner than 4 months, it could have saved them a whole world of grief. So love on its own isn't enough. And this magical thinking that you're going to meet your unicorn, you're going to meet your soulmate, and it's going to magically fall into place simply isn't true. We've grown up on a diet of Jane Austen, romantic comedies, Disney movies. And, we want to believe that fairy tale. But the reality is that a relationship comes from relating to each other. Yes, you might have the spark of chemistry, but it does take more than that. And, as a relationship coach, that's where I work people. First, to be clear on what they want, to be able to recognize what they're feeling rather than suppress it and idealize and fantasize what the relationship really is. Now, it's really important. Otherwise, you end up getting caught in this scarcity trap of thinking chemistry is the be-all and end-all, thinking that it was just meant to be. And honestly, some of those red flags that come up in the beginning are exactly what ends your relationship at the end. And that doesn't have to be there. So stop leaving the most important area of your life to chance and make the decision to create the wonderful relationship that you've always wanted. Now, my name's Debbie Rivers. I'm a relationship coach, and I hope whatever you're doing today, you're being kind to yourself. Thank you. And if you enjoyed this video, please take the time to subscribe to the red button and leave your comments. I'd really love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what your situations, what your experiences are, etc. Anyway, thank you for listening. Bye.